All right, good evening, everybody, and welcome to council regular meeting on this nice Monday. It's warming up on Monday, April 3rd. I want to go ahead and call our meeting to order with the invocation and the pledge led by Mr. Weaver.
Thank you. Let us rise each morning and strive each day to do that which brings happiness and joy to others, and avoid doing things that cause others hurt and pain. Let us use our minds and our reason to further that mutuality and reciprocity inherent in human relationships. And let us always respect the dignity and worth of each other. And let us, above all, love one another, to lift up one another and bring each other peace. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you. Mr. Clerk, can you please call a roll?
Angelou.
Here.
Bowers.
Here.
McGregor.
Here.
Padova.
Here.
Renner.
Here.
Schnetzer.
Here.
Weaver.
Here.
Wonderful, thank you. Item B, additions or corrections to our agenda. Does anybody have anything for this evening to correct or add? All right, moving on. Part C, hearing of visitors. Madam Mayor, I believe you have a proclamation.
I actually have two this evening, sir. Thank you. I will try to be brief. You know me. So the first, actually we have two proclamations for the month of April, both of which I have issued in previous years, and I have residents this evening to present them to. The first is for Autism Acceptance Month, and I know, Councilman, that this is an issue near and dear to your heart as well. Autism Awareness Month originally was created to foster awareness for inclusivity for individuals with autism. That was later changed to Autism Acceptance Month, really to create the idea of an inclusive community where autistic individuals are embraced, that they have opportunities for jobs, opportunities for housing, that they lead normal lives, and really getting the rest of the community to understand how they need to deal with what the condition that they have and how we can best lift up families that support them. We have a tremendous family here in the city of Gahanna, the Harshaw family. Gwen, Jean, and Zane. They've been here before. Gwen currently works for OCALI. I have to read that because all these acronyms. The Ohio Center for Autism and Low Incidence. And it was really her passion and her advocacy in the world of autism that led her to that role. And in that role, she works with communities to generate awareness. She's a national speaker. Where were you, just California recently? Or some?
We were just in Indianapolis.
Indianapolis.
The whole band's going to be in Houston.
There you go. So, and we all recognize Zane, their son, who just put out his first CD out of the blue. And I just happen to be wearing blue tonight for autism awareness as well. But really, this time last year, we came before you. We presented this proclamation to them because they were starting together, band together in Central Ohio. They launched that in August of last year. That's held at the Sanctuary. I know we've Donna Simmons from the Sanctuary as well. They are one of the sponsors of that event. And that really was an opportunity for individuals with autism to come in kind of a speakeasy type of environment to share their talents. No matter where they fall on the spectrum of the talents, they can come, they can read, they can sing, they can play music. And that event has just grown exponentially in less than a year. And I know it's their hope to continue to grow those events throughout the state of Ohio and beyond. So if the Harshaw family would come up, I would be very honored to present to them a proclamation for Autism Acceptance Month, as well as to recognize them for all of their efforts to really address the diverse needs of individuals with autism, to support the families and mentor them the way that you do. They really have made a tremendous impact on Gahanna and communities beyond. And it is, I'm just in awe of what you do. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Zane, thank you again. Jean.
Thank you so much.
Oh, pictures, there's cameras. Okay, here. Come on, all right. Oh, it's like the Oscars.
No, right?
for a wedding.
All right. Do you want to take a minute and say anything?
Absolutely. Thank you. We are so honored to be here. We love Gahanna. We're so thrilled with Band Together Central Ohio. Even though the name is Central Ohio, we are thrilled to have it here. And we have some exciting plans coming up this summer. Zane's band will be playing at Creekside Blues and Jazz Fest again. And we want to incorporate a couple of the performers who have been regularly attending Band Together who live in Gahanna, and they're going to get on stage and perform with us, and it'll give us an opportunity to tell the crowd there about Band Together, about Gahanna, about the sanctuary, and we're just really excited. Also, this Thursday, Channel 4, The Autism Puzzle, will be featuring Band Together, so it is just going really well, and we appreciate all the support. Thursday evenings at 7 p.m.
Thank you very much. My second proclamation is in honor of April is Distracted Driving Awareness Month. And as we know, distracted driving really has become a deadly epidemic. Texting, cell phone use, whether it's texting, taking a call, social media, has really become the most common distraction while driving. But that also extends to playing with the radio, putting on makeup, eating and drinking. It only takes a few seconds to really change a life, and sometimes an entire family's life or more. I thought one of the statistics that I saw said, sending or reading a text takes your eyes off the road for 5 seconds. At 55 miles per hour, that's like driving the length of an entire football field with your eyes closed. Just think about that for a minute, and think about sitting in Ohio Stadium and driving the length of that stadium just because you need to answer a text. It's not that important. It really isn't. We have a tremendous advocate for distracted driving in our community. We actually have 2 of them sitting in the audience tonight, but I know Sharon Montgomery has been before this council on many occasions to talk about her efforts to raise awareness around distracted driving. Tomorrow, the new law goes into effect, the distracted driving bill that was signed by Governor DeWine in January. That goes into effect tomorrow. Time will tell the effectiveness of that law and what our officers are able or not able to do with that law. But I have done this proclamation to recognize and bring attention to distracted driving previously, but I really thought that it was important to recognize Sharon this evening. Sharon, if you could come forward. She has been serving as a member of the Governor's Council, the Ohio Traffic Safety Council. She's represented Gahanna well. And I just wanted to present this proclamation to you, and I'll just read the last paragraph, that Sharon Montgomery has been a relentless advocate in generating awareness of the dangers of distracted driving and pursuing the adoption of effective legislation to address distracted driving through her service as a member of the Ohio Traffic Safety Council Distracted Driving Subcommittee. And her efforts to educate our community on the perils of distracted driving have had a positive and profound impact on the health and wellness of Gahanna residents. We're sincerely grateful for all of your efforts. We encourage you to continue to fight the good fight. I think there's still a lot of fight left that needs to be done. Correct. But thank you, Sharon, for all of your work. We appreciate it. Oh. When he says 3, he's already taking it. But you go. Thank you, Sharon.
For all my speeches here, I'm not an ad-lib speaker, but I do need to let you know that a lot of my rabble-rousing would not have been successful without all the information that Chief Spence has been able to provide me and all the help from Representative Lightbody and from Tricia Kovacs. So I'm not doing this alone, and I appreciate all the patience that you have given me all the times I've come to speak. Hopefully, and I appreciate the fact that you include the word effective in this. We have 3 laws, but unfortunately, they're not getting us where we need to be at. Just keep in mind, please, that regardless of what the law says you can or cannot do, even if you can do it, you shouldn't do it. Only in an emergency. It's just not worth the risk. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Well, we have another special guest in the audience, State Representative Mary Lightbody. She spoke with me and she wanted a few minutes to speak to council.
Thank you very much for the opportunity to address you this evening. I come with sort of an update from the State House, if you will. I'll try to keep this brief. We've been working really hard on any number of things. But first I want to say it was a delight to come on Friday to the MORPC State of the Region event and sit with many of you. And congratulations to Karen Angelou for all the years of service that she has provided on behalf of all of us to the MORPC board. I also very much appreciate Sharon Montgomery's work. She and I have worked together to get a good distracted driving bill through the State House since I started in 2019. We're still working. I've just today sent along an amendment to the law that we're trying to put into the operating budget because I heard Governor DeWine say not long ago that the budget is policy and policy is the budget. So if we can get it in the budget, we might be able to remove the two amendments that were added at the very last minute, one of which allows you to hold your phone to your ear to make a phone call, and the other of which allows you to use the phone while you're at a traffic light, a red traffic light, both of which are going to make it more difficult for our police officers across the state to enforce the law as it's written. We'll see what happens. In other words, it's still an ongoing effort. I also want to tell you that we're working hard on the operating budget. We got the blue book from the governor, and the Ohio House in its multiple deliberations has, are you ready, 3,000 amendments that are going to be added to that budget, and the LSC will be working to give that to us all as a bill that we can vote on towards the end of April. It'll either be the 19th or the 20th, or perhaps the 26th or 27th, so keep your eyes peeled. It'll then go to the Senate for their deliberation and machinations and come back to us for concurrence. We have to pass it by the end of June. More importantly, we have passed the transportation bill. So it's House Bill 23. It takes effect on July 1st, and it directs the state how to spend approximately $13.5 billion with a B dollars in state and federal revenue over the next 2 years. It implements a series of changes aimed at improving public safety and making Ohio a great place to do business. For example, it includes $360 million over 2 years in dedicated highway safety funding to address dangerous intersections, make travel safer for bicycles and pedestrians, and helps local government fund critical projects. I thought that might be of interest to you all. Maintain state funding at $37 million per fiscal year and $37 million per fiscal year for the Federal Highway Administration for a flexible funding program, which also may be helpful to you. Creates the Workforce Mobility Partnership Program, $15 million per fiscal year to provide grants to regional transit authorities for workforce mobility initiatives to help workers get to their jobs. We passed and included several railroad safety items but perhaps because of increasing our awareness of the difficulties after the East Palestine disaster. So this requires the Public Utilities Commission and the Ohio Department of Transportation to work with each railroad company doing business in Ohio to ensure that wayside detector systems are operational, effective, current, and to specify the criteria that must be considered, such as the distances between these devices and communication with the crews on the trains so they know if there's a default that's been detected. Requires oversight of PUCO and ODOT for the safety practices of the railroad companies themselves to ensure compliance with federal safety standards. Requires a freight train or a light engine to have at least a 2-person crew, which is critical. Should a medical crisis happen to the one individual who's on board, that leaves no one on board to operate the train. Obviously a safety hazard. And also requires notification to the communities of hazardous material of any number that are on the trains traveling through. Also, perhaps important for you all, is about force accounts. So for the first time since 2003, House Bill 23 raises the force account limits, which require local entities to bid out projects when they reach a certain dollar threshold. So under the bill, the limits will be raised for roads, bridges, and culvert construction and maintenance by 133% with a 5% inflation cap per year. They're also going to spend money to fix the Brent Spence Bridge across the Ohio River and create a strategic transportation and development analysis study to look at statewide study of the Ohio transportation system, and authorizes the Ohio Railroad Development Commission to look at intercity conventional or high-speed passenger rail, not necessarily just between the 3 Cs, but also between any points in between or otherwise in rural areas. To something that may impact some of you, if you own a plug-in hybrid, we also included a reduction of the fee for your registration for that vehicle from $200 to $150. I drive an electric vehicle, so I have to pay an extra $200, but I made that choice of my own and knew about it ahead of time, obviously. And also allows if any of you are veterans and you wish to get a military license plate, it requires the Registrar of Motor Vehicles to accept a county issues veterans identification card for proof of that if you choose to get one. And that's sort of the highlights of the bill. If you have any questions, you can get me, I think you all know, at rep04@ohiohouse.gov. That is the former email address for former Speaker Cupp. So what's interesting is that I've been getting email addressed to Speaker Cupp in the interim, and my old rep19@ohiohouse.gov goes to Phil Robinson in the Cleveland area, so he forwards that email back to me as well. So a little bit of confusion whenever we change our district numbers. We're expecting a district numbers to change again in 2024. So our new member pins don't have our numbers on them, it just says member. So perhaps we'll save some money that way. Thank you for your time and attention, and it's a pleasure to be here tonight. Thank you.
Thank you.
Does anybody have any questions?
Probably a million, but we're not going to do them tonight.
Representative Lightbody, it's always a pleasure. Thank you. Thank you. All right, now the hearing of visitors. I do have 3. If you did come in late and you do want to speak before council, know that there's still time, and run and see our clerk and fill out a speaker slip. So the first one, and per our rules of procedure, when I call your name, come up to the podium. You will get 3 minutes. I need you to say your name and address for the record. Okay, Kathy Strom.
My name is Kathy Strom. I live at 4617 Collingville Way, Columbus, Ohio, 43230. I am here tonight speaking from the perspective of those of us who fought the great battle against sheets. I communicated and was a key player in coordinating efforts between New Albany, Gahanna, Columbus, and Jefferson Township with regards to that issue of building the Sheetz gas station near the Morrison Johnstown Road roundabout. First of all, I want to say thank you to Mayor Jadwin for your announcement last Thursday. It thrilled our souls for all of us who had worked on that, and I'm very thankful for the work that happened on that. But I'd also like to just say, let's be honest, Gahanna dodged a bullet on this one. There was a lack of communication from February until November, and only by a chance, luck, one person found out about the BZBA meeting and what was going to be happening at that. And so we were successful in operating as a combined group of citizens. And so I just would say the little guy does matter if he combines together with other little guys. The March 8th Planning Commission meeting, that was a tremendous meeting, as you well know. And at that point, the only avenue left to cause that to not be happening was to convince New Albany Company to withdraw from selling that land and a tremendous letter writing campaign immediately took place following that. I personally wrote 4 letters and sent them by certified mail to ensure that they were received. And by March 29th, we had also achieved 2,000 signatures on an online petition across all the various jurisdictions that were affected by it. And the number signing that petition were growing by hundreds every day. So when we finally saw that announcement on March 31st, we all breathed a tremendous sigh of relief. The last item I have is just to ask the City Council, since I'm aware that the Mayor and City Council appoints BZBA, will you please look at the transcript of January 26th meeting of the BZBA from the point at 8:56 p.m. to 9:28 p.m. when the meeting ended. There were derogatory comments provided and documented in writing by the BZBA against those of us who spoke that evening, and they showed extreme disdain for any public comments being shared in front of the BZBA, which I think is a terrible injustice to freedom of speech, basically. And they immediately voted to change their rules of procedure that night and put a brand new set of rules in place that public comments will never again be allowed at a BZBA meeting. And I guess I'm just challenging the City Council and the Mayor, since you've appointed these people, to please follow up and see what can be done about that. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your comments. All right, Ryan Spack.
My name is Ryan Spack. I live at 211 Carlin Court East. I don't really have anything prepared tonight, so we're going to see how well this goes. But I was catching up on some of the previous Committee of the Whole meetings videos, and something kind of jumped out at me that I think it was about 3 or 4 weeks ago in one of the meetings, there was a presentation on the update of the building at Tech Center Drive. And one of the things that came up was the request by the police department for a firing range underneath the new building. And I guess that just kind of stuck out at me. I think Councilmember Bowers was the only one to really question it. In general, I support the police, and if they say that a piece of equipment is going to make them safer or make their jobs easier, I would give them the benefit of the doubt. But this seems like a rather large thing and maybe warrants a little more scrutiny. So I guess my thought is the police officers carry service weapons, and if they need to use it, I want them to feel like they are well-trained and confident and competent with their weapons. But at the same time, if an officer is spending more than 5% of their time in a gun range, I really feel like they should be out interacting with the public and not in a basement shooting a gun. So what that kind of boils down to, at least by my math, is that they need to requalify on their weapons once a year, and they maybe need to spend 1 day a month in a firing range maintaining their skills. So I really don't see, doing a quick Google search, there's about 3 or 4 gun ranges within a 20-minute drive of here. I really don't see how a 20-minute drive once or twice a month is a huge drain on department resources. So all we're really getting for this is a hole in the ground that will not be open to the public, and if it's used responsibly, should be sitting empty about 90 to 95% of the time. And I'm calling it a hole in the ground not because I'm being flippant about it, but because I'm going to compare it to something else that was presented to you in a meeting about 2 weeks ago, which was during your Parks Comprehensive Plan update. And that was where, as part of the survey for that comprehensive plan, it was revealed that one of the residents' top requests for the city was an indoor pool, which is incidentally another hole in the ground. Only that one would be a public amenity where residents could gather and associate face-to-face and generally form the bonds that are the foundation of a healthy community. It could be open and used almost every day of the year, and it would have economic benefits because it could be a selling point for our city. Every day when I drive down Agler Road, there's a sign that says Gahanna voted best hometown. Well, it used to say Gahanna best hometown 2007. I think it's been replaced in the last couple of years. Now it says 2013 and 2014. So my question to you is this, and this is, I guess, just a rhetorical question, is you have two holes in the ground, one that's a monument to one of the #1 killers in America, not open to the public, and should be sitting empty most of the time, and one that would be a public resource where people could come and actually interact with their neighbors. And my question to you is, which one of those projects will get Gahanna Best Hometown 2023 on that sign quicker? Thank you.
Thank you. All right, next up is Miss Brenda Hoffman.
Good evening, Council. My name is Brenda Hoffman. I live at 279 High Meadow Drive, Gahanna, Ohio, 43230. I'd like to remind the four of you that are tenured more experienced council members that my first appearance before this council was on November the 6th or 7th of 2017. It was the night before the election. At that time, I asked you to please review code enforcement, specifically because sidewalks being reported by other neighbors and being enforced is like having a loaded gun at your head as a homeowner. I'll get to your stuff in a minute, Chief. But the thing is here, I started asking for this in 2017, and wow, was I rudely awakened. My husband started researching this. August 6th of 2020, he met with Ray and Lori and spoke to them about the fact that there is actually Ohio Revised Code from January 1, 1962, that not only says that a corporate municipality has to have sidewalk maintenance programs, it actually goes out there and details that you have to give them the scope of the repair that has to be done. You have to give them the price. You have to give them the specs. You have to have an appeal board for those. You have to give them the time that it has to be done. He actually physically handed both of them a copy of that law. So going back, we are now faced with a situation where we have not only beat a dead horse, we dumped it in the pond, fed it to the alligators, drained the pond, and scrapped the sewage off the bottom, and now we're spreading it around. This sidewalk ADA stuff has been going on for years and years. And at this point, yes, mistakes were made, things happen. People are humans. We had COVID, we had whatever we had. But at this point, I would ask all of you, all the program directors, everybody involved, this whole thing with the Segway looks awesome. The ULIP technology, awesome. The field data you're going to get is going to be good data. Not my opinion of the rock off the top, not my opinion of the crack or the lift. Good, solid, scientific data. When you get that data, would you please hand every resident with a sidewalk code violation a copy of what is wrong with their place? Every single person that has a sidewalk to repair deserves that information in one flat mailing, one flat run. Maybe it'll cost us $2,500. We asked this before. Lyric asked this before when we started. Do it and pick up that 1, 2, 3, 5% people that are going to fix it themselves. Because as of today, maybe today it started, we've been at this. I've been fighting for this since 2017. We have two options. We go to this program, or we go straight to code enforcement and let them enforce it. Now, you're going to hire more code enforcement officers? You're going to stretch out the assessment time? What are you going to do when the interest rate's up at 8%? Now, on Chief's thing, we send our cops out. We pay for them to go. We pay them per diem. A cop saved my life. A cop saved my life twice, and he was good. I come from a fourth generation of law enforcement and criminology family. We have people in every walk, CIA, FBI, Secret Service. My grandfather was a sharpshooter that taught Secret Service how to shoot. Guns will save that officer's life. His proficiency with that firearm will save us money. We spend somewhere around $60,000 to $65,000 to make that officer proficient just to be an officer. That is our most vital resource in criminal justice. He has the greatest discretion in the entire system. We need better trained in all aspects, but why are we making them work so hard about having their guns and being proficient? Don't know. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Item D, consent agenda. Do I have a motion to pass the consent agenda as published? So
So moved, Mr. President.
Have a first by Mr. Snetzer. Do I have a second?
Second.
Sorry, who said that? Ms. Angelou. All right, I have a second by Ms. Angelou. Any discussion? All right, Jeremy, please call the roll.
Schnetzer.
Yes.
Angelou.
Yes.
Bowers.
Yes.
McGregor.
Yes.
Padova.
Yes.
Renner.
Yes.
Weaver.
Yes.
All right, thank you. Consent agenda is passed. Item E, ordinances for introduction and first reading. There is no legislative action on this, but I'm going to read them just into the record so that they're introduced. Ordinance 17, 2023, an ordinance to accept public sanitary sewer improvements and associated easements for the Everett Apartments Development Project located at 307-319 West Johnstown Road. Ordinance 18, 2023, an ordinance authorizing the mayor and director of engineering to award and enter into a contract with Dirt Dog Excavating LLC for construction work for Havens Corners Waterline Replacement Project. Ordinance 19, 2023, an ordinance authorizing a supplemental appropriation, Water Capital Fund for Havens Corner Waterline Replacement. I need more water. Ordinance 20, 2023, an ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into contract with Mifflin Township for a period of 3 years for the purposes of mental health clinician cost sharing. Thank you. Item F, correspondence and actions. Mr. Clerk.
Nothing this evening, Mr. President.
Needed a swig of water. Number 2, my colleagues on council, anything? All right, moving on. Item G, representatives, CIC. I don't have a report ready for you this evening, but I promise to deliver in 2 weeks. Mr. Weaver, do you have anything to add?
Sounds good, Mr. President.
Thank you. Item 2, Mid-Ohio Regional Planning Commission, Ms. Angelou.
Thank you. First of all, I would like to thank our council clerk, Jeremy Van Meter, for all the work that he did to make sure that Gahanna was represented at the State of the Region, and we were represented beautifully. And it's amazing how much being there, you understand what Morpsey's about. My next meeting is on Thursday for the Executive Committee, and then that next week will be for the Commission. But I would really like to talk a little bit about the beauty of going to the Hilton and seeing 1,000+ people there for the State of the Region. It was so well done, and I want to thank all the people here that were able to come and enjoy what was a terrific meeting. So the State of the Region is looking good, and I will have something the next time we have. Thank you. Thank you again, Jeremy, for everything you did.
Thank you. Item 3, Convention and Visitors Bureau, Ms. Padova.
Thank you. The Visit Gahanna has a new visitor's guide that was released last week. The guide features several themed itinerary ideas and listings for lodging, dining, shopping, and more. It will be distributed to local and regional hotels, restaurants, shops, as well as used at trade shows and tourist information centers and welcome packets. There is an online version at visitgahanna.com, and you can also pick one up here this evening, right at the brochure rack, right inside the front doors there. Also located in that rack is information about Creekside Blues and Jazz Festival, which does feature Blue Spectrum. The Spring and Summer Herbal Cocktail Trail Passport is now available. There are 8 participating establishments at this time, and they all feature delicious cocktails made with some sort of herb. The Ohio Herb Center hosted a free class called Landscaping with Herbs last Saturday, and they actually had 3 time slots filled completely with 20 people in each class. And they also had 30 people on the wait list. So this was very popular, and they will be having another one on April 12th. And I don't think it is available online, but I imagine it will be here very shortly. That's all for me.
All right, thank you. All right, item 4, school board, Ms. Bowers.
Thank you. Just briefly tonight, welcome back to students today as they come back from spring break. Please remember to be aware and be alert. It is National Distracted Driving Awareness Month, and that also goes for paying attention to our school buses, making sure that we're stopping when we see those stop signs come out parallel to or perpendicular to the bus when students are loading and unloading. There was a very bad accident involving a student last week. We are keeping that family in our prayers and hoping that students and all drivers maintain safe rates of speed around the area. There is the State of the Schools address is coming up. That is coming up on April the 13th at 7 o'clock. Just prior to that, though, on April 12th, the superintendent and school board members will host another coffee and conversation that will take place at 6:30. Please take a look and sign up for the Gahanna Jefferson Public Schools weekly emails for more details on that. That is all I have for tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Item H, official reports. Madam Mayor.
Thank you, sir. First of all, I'd like to thank the members of council, our community partners, and the well over 100 residents who attended the State of the City back on March 23rd. Feels like it was a while ago, but it was less than 2 weeks ago. But that was at 825 Tech Center Drive, despite a brief disruption in power, which good, that proves we need to renovate the building. It was just really a wonderful evening with many local restaurants and community groups on hand to share information about the work that they do to benefit our Gahanna community and our residents. We did film the video, film the presentation that night. A video should be ready and up on the website by the end of this week. We'll be sharing that link on social media as well when that is available, but we certainly wanted to make sure that it was available. We learned that from last year. A lot of people asked after the fact, was it recorded? And we were not able to record it last year, but we did so this year so that people who were not able to attend can also have access to the information about the work that was done in 2022, at least a glimpse of the work done in 2022 and what is ahead for the city in 2023 and beyond. Thank you for mentioning the state of the region. I know all of our directors. I had the opportunity to attend the Morpsey event on Friday as well. Thought it was a fantastic conversation around the growth that's happening in the region, particularly around transportation. So Representative Lightbody, thanks for your comments on transportation this evening. Those are certainly opportunities that we need to pursue, especially as growth continues to happen around us, all around us, literally 10 minutes up the road in every aspect. And the impacts on infrastructure and transportation are going to be critical for us as to how we move forward. And Ms. Strom, thank you for sharing, referencing the announcement on Sheets last Friday. Again, to reiterate, I have been having conversations with both the New Albany Company and Sheets for many weeks now behind the scenes. I would really like to thank the New Albany Company and Sheets for working collaboratively to find a mutual resolution for this and for hearing and respecting Gahanna residents' feelings on that. They both very much want to be good partners with the city of Gahanna, and I very much appreciated their openness to discussions and working toward a resolution. Also appreciated Ms. Hoffman's comments this evening, certainly with regard to sending out assessments. We met with Ms. Hoffman and her husband last week, and she shared that, and our staff took that to heart and are going to be reevaluating that. I think that would be tremendously informative and helpful for residents within the community. Sidewalk maintenance ultimately is the responsibility of homeowners, and to have people understand what standards their sidewalks are and are not meeting, I think will be helpful for residents. And then when they get flyers in the mail that say Gahanna Sidewalk Program that have nothing to do with Gahanna Sidewalk Program or the city, maybe they can help to differentiate that and understand the difference between that. And I am proud to say that the program that we worked nearly 2 years on to have adopted by council in 2021 meets every one of the parameters identified by Ms. Hoffman. And despite our challenges with the program continues to move forward. With that, I will share that weather permitting, a newcomer construction company will begin work on sidewalk repairs on households within the 2021 sidewalk program tomorrow. Again, weather permitting, forecast is a little iffy, but weather permitting, they are scheduled to begin that tomorrow. Households that will be impacted by that work will receive a hand-delivered letter by the company before they begin that work. They will also be posting no parking signs so that they can have access to the sidewalks to do that work. So we ask the residents respectfully to abide by those no parking signs while the work is happening. And that work is expected to take a couple of weeks until they can complete all of those. I also like to say I appreciate Ms. Hoffman's comments with regard to the training of officers. Ultimately, our officers are responsible for the health and safety of every one of us in this community, and I know that's something, it's a burden that they carry very much on their shoulders every single day. It's paramount that they receive the best training possible. And given what happened in Nashville last week, I think that is a fair indicator of why it is necessary that officers are trained. It was because of the training that those officers received that they were able to quickly locate and find the shooter in that building and put an end to a threat that could have been so much worse. It's bad enough, but it could have been so much worse had they not received the training that they had. So I appreciate the council's support of our division of police and the work going forward with them. Looking ahead to the next few weeks, April brings time for spring cleaning. Earth Day is the perfect way to celebrate that. So just a reminder again, the city's annual Shred and e-recycle event will be taking place Saturday, April 22nd here in City Hall. That is from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. It's a great opportunity to safely get rid of your old paperwork and have those safely shredded, as well as get rid of old computers, phones, those types of things. Grin will be on hand that morning, actually throughout that event from 9 a.m. to 12 to collect canned goods, non-perishable food, toiletries, monetary donations as well. And just as a reminder, Grin is not able to accept food that is expired. So while they appreciate your donations, please check the expiration dates before you drop that off. I know they would appreciate that. And also that day, Make Gahanna Yours will host its first litter cleanup day of the year. They typically do 3 or 4 a year. And that will be part of the Earth Day celebration as well. That event will run from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. They will meet at Friendship Park that morning. For information on that litter cleanup and to sign up, you can go to makegahannayours.com. And then looking ahead, I believe April is the last month for the Winter's Farmers Market, coming up on April, third Wednesday. Third Wednesday in April. So that'll be the last indoor winter farmers market. They'll take a month off in May and then begin with the June farmers market at the corner of Town and High. So great stuff from Make Gahanna Yours. And then finally, the VFW American Legion is hosting its inaugural Walk in Our Boots 5K. And that will be on Saturday, April 29th. The purpose of that event is to raise awareness and dollars to support our local veterans and their families as they face certainly many life challenges, many as a result of the service on behalf of their country and on our behalf. For info on that event and to register for that, go to GahannaVets.org, GahannaVets.org. So that is, again, the first time that event will be held, and I'm hoping our community will come out and give them great support. And then finally, for those who celebrate the holiday coming up this weekend, I wish everyone a wonderful Easter holiday. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. City Attorney.
I have nothing to add. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, item I, council comment. Ms. Angelou.
Well, thank you for everybody that went to the State of the Region, and a happy Easter. And if you are, whatever you may be doing this week, I hope it'll be a wonderful week for everybody. Thank you.
Thank you. Mrs. McGregor.
Thank you. I wanted to acknowledge Jason and Colleen Ruark for their Easter Bunny on Saturday. It started out to be such a nice sunny day, and then we had rain and it got colder. The temperature kind of went like this in the afternoon, but they hung out and had over 200 people through their pictures with the Easter Bunny, so that was a great event, and thank you for doing that. The other thing I wanted to say is as far as the police gun range, shooting is a perishable skill, and it's not something that you can qualify once without practicing all the time. And if the criminals would only stand still, we wouldn't have, like a stationary target, it would be so much easier, but they don't. They move around, there's low light, there's barricades, there's hostages, sometimes it's dark. and they have to practice all those skills. It's not just going and being proficient on a target. I'm proficient on a target, but I'm not proficient in different scenarios. So I appreciate the time that's put in. The time they spend here the time they would spend driving to a range is time they're not spending patrolling our streets and interacting with residents. So I very much see the need for a local range. We had one before, and because of the lead contamination, we had to close it down. So I am looking forward to them having one again for the different kinds of training, physical training that they have to do. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Bowers.
Thank you. I have included in the council comment section of the agenda, my constituent reports for February and for March. I appreciate very much some of the positive feedback I've gotten on those, so thank you. That helps me. It helps me know that they're being read and they're useful. I wanted to share just a couple comments. Thank you to those who come regularly and not so regularly to speak to us and share your thoughts. I know Mr. Shack comes on a semi-regular basis to share his thoughts and perspectives, and we do appreciate your input. And of course, Ms. Hoffman too. Your perspectives and your input is valuable and welcome. I also wanted to share just generally that, and not specific to any project in general, that I think, and I'll just speak for myself, but I welcome all ideas on how to better communicate with our residents and to receive your feedback as well. We have implemented electronic notifications for meeting agendas. We have made some big strides, but that doesn't mean that there isn't more opportunity to improve on that ability for residents to continue to participate and to be made aware of our processes. This particular situation involving sheets was a bit of a complicated and a bit of a messy situation, and that exposes opportunities for us to improve our processes. So for those who have spoken out specifically about that project, but also about some of the processes and opportunities for us to improve them, I do greatly appreciate that. As a reminder, in terms of resident participation with council meetings specifically, thanks to Mr. Weaver last year, we did implement a video option for people to submit video comment for our hearing of visitors, so that we can take video comment for people who are not able to physically come in person. I, along with other members of council, host regular constituent hours where you're welcome to come and ask questions and talk with us individually. And I know that the administration welcomes resident engagement and will often hold meetings with residents to share additional information or to gain perspectives if there are concerns or issues. So again, please continue to give us the opportunities to improve. We work for you, and I do mean that. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Bedova.
Thank you to the Herschel family for being here this evening and everything that you guys do to raise awareness for autism. I had the opportunity to hear Zane about a year or two ago, and you're truly a talented artist, and I look forward to hearing you again at the Blues and Jazz Festival this summer. Also, thank you to Sharon Montgomery. You work tirelessly to end distracted driving, and I know your work is very much appreciated and by our community and everyone who's lost somebody from distracted driving. Also, thank you to the Warwick family for everything you guys do. You're truly an asset to our community. I was very upset that I missed the bunny and the egg hunt with a sick kid over the weekend, but when she saw you at the farmer's market, she was not such a fan, which I'm sure is a lot of fun for you guys just to see all of the kids' reactions. But thank you guys so much for everything that you guys do.
Thank you. Mr. Snetzer.
Yeah, I'll be very brief. Just thanks to everybody that came out, obviously our distinguished guests today, as well as those that took the podium. And I'll just wish everybody a happy Easter and Passover this week.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Weaver.
Thank you, Mr. President. I will also do my best to be brief here. First, thank you to all of our guests this evening and our proclamation recipients. Thank you, Mayor, for doing those. Really highlighting the work that our residents and community members are doing to make not only our community, but often our state and our country a better place for all of us. So thank you for that. Thank you, Representative Lightbody, for always having Gahanna in mind and coming here as often as you do. It's nice to have our state partners here, so thank you very much. Also attended the MORPC State of the Region on Friday. Wonderful event, so thank you, Mr. Clerk, for getting us there. Really, what stood out to me from the entire presentation was the importance of partnerships and collaboration with not only other localities and municipalities, but with our state and federal partners as well. And it's the coming decade is really shows the need for that collaboration. So that while we're growing, let's do so sustainably and responsibly. In regards to communication, I can never speak better than Ms. Bowers, so I'll just say ditto to Ms. Bowers' comments. So thank you for those. And then lastly, I do want to just say a thank you to everyone who did reach out to not only myself, but my colleagues on council and the administration regarding the Sheets project. Often it can be a little overwhelming to receive those messages, and you're trying to explain process as best as you can. But I think it is still so gratifying to see community members use their voices and reach out. You know, we don't do this work in a vacuum. As Ms. Bowers said, we work for you. And so thank you to everyone who reached out. And that is it for me, Mr. President.
Thank you very much. My closing comments, I just wanted to say ditto around for everybody. I think everybody made some really good points. Representative Lightbody, it's always a pleasure, as I mentioned, for you to come and give us the updates that you do, and thank you for the work that you do there. Mayor, thank you for the proclamations tonight, for the Henshaws, and as well as to Ms. Montgomery. Thank you for recognizing both families. Jason and Colleen, I was there with you a little bit, and that day it started as 60s. It was warm, it was sunny. By the time I got there, the 20 degrees had dropped, and it was cold, it was windy, and it was rainy. But I'd admire, and I posted pictures on Facebook of the event, because you guys just kept going. And there was still a long line of parents and kids, most specifically the kids. And hats off to 254 for having their tent right next door to you, and for the coloring event. Bob and company actually just kept that moving really, really well. Thank you to the added vitality on the west side. I deeply appreciate that. Ms. Strom, thank you so much for your comments that you've heard from our colleagues. I don't think there's anybody on this dais around this curve that was very excited about that project at all. And we were shocked and trying to navigate our own internal process and external as well, and trying to understand. We definitely appreciated every resident's input. And I think Mr. Weaver said it best. It was, at times it was a little anxious because we were trying at the same time to educate the public about how this actually works. And that goes to really the home of everything that we do, is trying to help the public understand how government actually works. And we just got to do a better job about that. And so, but we definitely appreciate all the input that we get. There were some comments that derogatory about our police tonight. I think that's just completely off the wall. I do believe that I'm a strong supporter, as Ms. McGregor already pointed out, for having a firearms range. When you sit in this seat as long as I have, and you start learning what are the dues that you need to actually have to run a city, you'd be surprised about what it takes to run a good city. So, and you guys get to sleep soundly at night, and so you should be thankful for that. Also, our police department passed out to me, and then I passed it on to colleagues on council about the distracted driving and the training. It's really raised my confidence about how the officers are going to deal with this. It's really to the code of conduct and to everything about how they're going to treat this. I know that there's a 6-month moratorium for any citations, but I think through the process, through the communications, that the media, and I know the city is going to, and then process by people being pulled over and the warnings, we'll get through this a little bit and help understand. And like the mayor said earlier, we'll see what we'll see and how this law works. I don't think I have anything else to add, but thank you and good night. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved, Mr. President.
Thank you.